So with another weekend of Championship football over, we are here once again for the Championship roundup. As always, get all your thoughts in the comments down below as to what you made of your team's performance over the weekend. We had some decent games going on, so we got quite a few talking points to go over. Before we do get into discussing any of the games, I will include your guys' comments on screen now. So if any of you did successfully manage to get any of your score predictions correct, then fair play. I managed to get one of mine correct this weekend. That was the Derby against Cardiff game, which did end as a 1-1 draw. FIFA actually beat me this week though. They managed to predict the Blackburn Rovers and Nottingham Forest game correctly. But without any further ado, let's hop into talking about some of these games. So starting things out with Friday night's game between Derby and Cardiff, this one finishing as a 1-1 draw, so the only game of the weekend that I did manage to predict. And a lot of what I said in the preview sort of came true in this game. We had Derby taking the lead after 6 minutes through Scott Malone. Not the best goal we've seen scored so far this season. Holmes had done well originally with a run down the right hand side. He pulled the ball back across goal. Wycombe tried to get the ball down. Tom Huddleston had a shot which was deflected away. Eventually the ball fell to Malone, who just about managed to bundle the ball over the line to make it 1-0 to Derby. After that, Derby had a pretty strong shout for a penalty claim for a foul on Martin Wycombe. If that penalty is given, then it's a different game for the rest of it. And then not long after that, Cardiff went up the pitch and they were given the penalty for a foul on Glatzel as Richie Keogh had been holding his shirt. Glatzel then slotted that penalty away for his first goal in a Cardiff City shirt. Derby came out in the second half, and in fairness to them, we did see them have a few chances. Jack Marriott hit the crossbar, went very close from outside the box, and they had a couple of other efforts which was saved by Alex Smithies. Cardiff probably looked a little bit better when they made the changes in that second half, when they brought on the likes of Mendes Liang and Junior Hoyler. Glatzel had a good chance to win it for Cardiff near the end, but Clark managed to hook that header over the bar. So in the end, finishing as a 1-1 draw for Derby, they're still yet to get going under Philip Cocu. 7 games, 7 points. Looking at that side on paper and compared to last season, they're not quite at the same level yet. Then to Craven Cottage, where we had Fulham drawing 1-1 with West Brom. West Brom, the only unbeaten side left in the Championship now. Although they probably got a little bit fortunate to get a point from this one. I thought that Fulham probably should have gone on to get all 3 points with the way this game went. They certainly had the better of the first half with the chances that were created. Tom Kenny hit the crossbar. Knockout went close with an effort from outside the box, but Sam Johnson was kept on hand for West Brom. In the second half, Knockout eventually did take the lead for Fulham with a fantastic goal. Sort of a cross from the edge of the box, which just caught out Sam Johnson. It looped over his head. It was on the left-hand side of the box with his left foot beautifully clipped over, and that gave Fulham the advantage. Going forward from that point onwards, they probably should have got another goal. Bobby Reid was another player who was popping up here and there having chances for this one, but Fulham just couldn't get that second goal, and eventually in the 80th minute, West Brom made them pay for that with the corner being swung in. Bettinelli made a bit of a meal out of it, really. He could only sort of clip the ball into the path of Semi Ajayi, who managed to make it 1-1. Bettinelli's an interesting one for Fulham, possibly maybe a bit of a weak link in that team. I'd be interested to know from Fulham fans, would you like to see Rodak come in? Rodak, a keeper who I quite liked the look of last season while he was out on loan at Rotherham. But in the end, it did finish as a 1-1 draw. A decent point for West Brom on the road, all things considered. Fulham will be frustrated not to have picked up all 3 points. And then we have Blackburn beating Millwall by 2-0. Another clean sheet for Blackburn at Ewood Park. And going up against a side like Millwall, you're always going to have to work your chances quite well. You know, they make themselves quite hard to break down. I think they were set up with a 4-5-1 formation, so they were always going to look to make themselves quite resilient and not give a lot away at the back. That probably limited Millwall going forward because they didn't really offer anything going forward in this game, but Blackburn had to take their chances well, and they did just that. Derek Williams with a fantastic strike in the first half. He was laid off by Greg Cunningham, took the ball first time and brilliantly hit it into the far post. The ball got quite a bit of pace on it, and that gave Blackburn the lead going into half time. In the second half, the second goal was very well worked. Nice passing around the box. They got the ball out on the right hand side, cut the ball back across goal, and Bradley Dack was there at the far post to make it 2-0 to Blackburn. Bradley Dack actually had a very good game by all accounts in this one, created a few chances and took his goal very well. After what seemed to be a bit of a slow start from Blackburn, they seemingly have picked themselves up recently and defensively have been looking good and are now starting to score a few more goals. We then saw Charlton's unbeaten start to the season come to an end as Birmingham walked away with all 3 points from the Valley. If one game goes to sum up the Championship, this would probably be it. Birmingham, who had lost their last 2 away matches by 3-0, going up against one of the most informed sides in the league and still walking away with all 3 points. It was probably Birmingham who had the better of the first half. They probably edged that with the chances they created. Djukovic had a couple to take the lead, but it was the second half where Jude Bellingham, the 16-year-old, once again getting on the score sheet to put Birmingham ahead. It was a nicely worked goal. Colin went on a brilliant marauding run from right back, took on about 3 Charlton players, got the ball out wide. The ball was cut back into Bellingham, who was born in 2003. He took his goal very well, and that was the only goal of the game. After that, both sides did have chances. You know, Lee Camp popped up with 2 terrific saves for Birmingham. I think that tempers were starting to boil over a little bit. There was a bit of a stupid incident with Lee Bowyer and throwing the ball and him eventually getting sent off. The referee definitely wasn't the most popular man in this ground by the end of it. Birmingham had to see the game out, and there was probably a bit of time wasting going on, putting their bodies in to stop Charlton with a few fouls here and there. That can be seen by the stats at the end of the game. But I think that's what most sides do when they're 1-0 up. away from home in the Championship. Charlton, a couple players played well, but they weren't really on their game in this one. I thought they definitely lacked the presence of someone like Lyle Taylor going forward, who I think is scheduled to be out for the next few weeks. Someone like Tom Ahmed up front didn't quite have the same impact on this one. But a very good 3 points for Birmingham, and what a start to the season it's been for Jude Bellingham. Hull against Wigan, despite being two sides who are down near the bottom of the table at the moment, was actually quite an entertaining game in the end, finishing as a 2-2 draw. Both opening goals scored by Che Dunkley and Jared Bowen, both coming from mistakes from both defences really. But that can't be said about the second goal scored by each club. It was Grosicki for Hull who gave them a 2-1 lead with an absolutely exquisite free kick. We saw him last time do it against Millwall. This time once again, being a lot closer in this time, but brilliantly whipping the ball over the wall into the top corner. Marshall stood no chance, and he really is one of the best in the league from that sort of area. At 2-1, Hull had the chances to make it 3. You know, Tom Eaves had some very good chances. He's still waiting on his first goal for Hull. Grosicki went close with another free kick in the second half, which was tipped on the post by Marshall. Eaves actually followed that up and somehow couldn't quite manage to get it on target, and the longer the game stayed at 2-1 for, the more you thought that maybe Wigan would get that chance to come back into the game. And they managed to do that with Joe Gelhardt getting Wigan back into this game. Now, normally the sort of football we associate with Wigan is a little bit more direct, looking to hit the channels and not necessarily playing through midfield, but the equaliser they scored against Hull, there was 27 passes in the build-up, more than any goal scored so far this season in the Championship. It started out with David Marshall, some brilliant play through midfield. Lowe eventually got the ball into Gelhardt in the box. He took a fantastic touch and just smashed it into the back of the net to make it 2-2. I think that that's the sort of football that Wigan fans want to see more of throughout this season, but Hull will have to be frustrated given some of the chances they had in the end at finishing as a 2-2 draw. And then we have the Middlesbrough side, who are now unbeaten in their last 4 matches, beat Reading by 1-0. Reading, who have now lost their last 2. The only goal coming from a Marvin Johnson free kick in the second half. It was out on the right hand side. He looked to sort of whip the ball into the box. Ashley Fletcher made quite an intelligent run across Raphael to block his view of the ball off, and the ball just seemed to catch the Reading goalkeeper out and end up in the back of the net. The result was probably actually quite harsh on Reading, who did create some decent openings throughout this game actually. Darren Randolph has to be in the bracket for one of the best goalkeepers in the Championship, because he came up with some absolutely massive saves for Borough in this game. His role in the side cannot be underestimated. Reading will have to be frustrated, but I don't think it was necessarily a bad performance. They created a lot of chances, it just wasn't their day in front of goal. And then we saw North End beating Brentford by 2-0. What a start to the season it's been for Preston. I'm not going to lie, I didn't see this coming. I think we've been absolutely terrific so far, especially at Deepdale, where we have still got a 100% record. But we got off to the perfect start in this game. I thought for the first sort of 15 or so minutes we were playing really well. After just 4 minutes, Johnny Maguire gave us the lead. A brilliant ball clipped in from Ryan Ledson. Maguire left in an acre of space as Brentford tried to play quite a high line. Maguire managed to get past that and slot in to make it 1-0 to North End. For the rest of that half, Preston didn't really create that much, but we were playing well without really creating many chances. I thought we nullified Brentford quite well. Brentford, you could tell that technically they do have some very good players. You know, they were quite tidy in possession, but they couldn't really craft out any opportunities. They were playing with those two wing backs, Sergio Canos on one side and Rico Henry on the other, with then the forward 3 who were trying to sort of interchange between themselves. Nothing was really clicking for Brentford in the final third in this one. Their best opportunity of the game probably being a speculative effort from Ben Rama from outside the box, which was well saved by Rudd. Eventually in the second half, after Alex Neil had made a couple of tactical changes, introducing Paul Gallagher and Josh Harrop, Preston did get the second of the game. Brentford had made a bit of a meal out of this, defending this one really. Pontus Jansson with a bit of a skewed backwards header. David Raya came out of his net, headed the ball out wide. Brentford did get back into their defensive shape, but Preston took full advantage of that. Joe Rafferty clipped the ball out wide to Donald Fisher, who was in loads of space. He cut the ball back across goal, where Tom Barkhuizen was waiting for a tap in to make it 2-0 to Preston. A really well worked goal. And what I like about Preston at the moment is week to week we're making quite a few changes to our starting 11, but everyone that's coming into the side at the moment seems to be bang on form. Everyone's playing well within the squad. Defensively, I thought we handled Brentford very well for this game. Patrick Bauer, deservedly man of the match. I thought he was absolutely excellent. And the one thing that's improved that I've noticed from Preston this season above all else has just been our concentration at the back. It seems like a basic thing, but in previous seasons that's something that would really let us down. I think we've been looking much more composed lately, and that's been going to show with the results we've been picking up. So a fantastic win for North End, and long may it continue. Then we have QPR beating Luton by 3-2 in a very dramatic game at Loftus Road. QPR taking the lead after just 3 minutes. Eze from outside the box, one touch, and then bang, gets the ball into the back of the net. Sluga, the Luton goalkeeper, possibly could have done a little bit better with it. I think he sort of got 2 hands on it, but the ball Millwall just seemed to squirm away from him. After that, Nahki Wells then made it 2-0 after 20 minutes. Luton caught out really just by a long ball coming up. Luton obviously like to play with quite a high line. Nahki Wells managed to get in behind, beat the offside trap and make it 2-0. It was then Wells and Eze who linked up very well with the give and go to make it 3-0 to QPR within the first half. And QPR were cruising. They were looking absolutely fantastic. One-touch football, created a lot of chances, bringing everyone into play. And we've seen glimpses of that from QPR so far this season in terms of what they're capable of when they are on form going forward. The goal they then gave away to Harry Cornick was a little bit stupid, really. QPR looking to play out from the back. Joe Lumley had the ball with no real pressure on him, just gave a dodgy pass into Cornick and he managed to score as Lumley raced to get back into his net. That then set up what was a bit of a nervy second half. QPR weren't then at the same level in that second half. Collins got another goal back for Luton fairly early on in the 48th minute. However, there would be no dramatic comeback as QPR did just about manage to hang on for this one. So amazing first half from QPR, not so much in the second, but another impressive 3 points which sees them lifted up to 7th in the table now. I've got to say they've been one of the surprise packages so far. At times they have played some really good football. Luton, I think, maybe a little bit naive for this game. Then we have Bristol City claiming another 3 points on the road as they beat Stoke by 2-1. Stoke still being sat at the bottom of the table, yet to win a match this far into the league. Looking at Stoke's next few fixtures, they got Brentford away, Nottingham Forest at home, and then a massive game against Huddersfield Town at home. And those 3 next fixtures for Stoke seem absolutely pivotal for them. If they lose all 3 of them and some of the sides above them really start to pick up a bit of momentum, Stoke could really be left in an awkward position. For this game though, they did get off to a good start. Sam Clucas with a smashing finish to make it 1-0, but that wasn't to last long as Joe Allen was sent off after just 12 minutes and they were reduced to 10 men after taking a bit of a dodgy touch. He recklessly went in on Josh Brownhill, was a little bit high with his foot and probably justifiably was sent off. I thought, looking back at it, I did think it was the right decision. That then leaves Stoke in a bit of an awkward position where Bristol City were able to take full advantage in the second half as they scored 2 goals. Hunt down the right hand side, absolutely menacing with the balls he was whipping in. Stoke weren't able to deal with them. The first goal came from Jeju at the far post, and I think the second one eventually went down as an Edwards own goal. But Bristol City very impressive on the road so far this season. They're sat 4th in the table now. They've not lost since the opening day. Their next 2 games against Swansea and Preston should really show where Bristol City are at the moment. And then possibly the result of the weekend saw Forest beating Swansea by 1-0 away from home. There seems to be something about Nottingham Forest away from home this season. They picked up some brilliant results on the road so far. They beat Fulham, they beat Swansea, a point against Leeds. I said in my preview to this game that Swansea can't take Forest lightly, and this result just goes on to show why. Swansea never really got going for this game. They looked a little bit lacklustre. In possession, they were a little bit lethargic and lacklustre and couldn't really get anything going. There was no real zip or tempo to their play, which there normally is. And they were always going to have to work quite hard against a Forest side who were very well drilled defensively. Forest did have their chances going forward. Lewis Grobban had hit the bar. And speaking of Lewis Grobban, I know he does have his critics now and again for being a little bit lazy and things like that, but he ran half the length of the pitch whilst holding off a Swansea player to square the ball into Semedo in the 85th minute to make it 1-0 to Nottingham Forest. So a brilliant run from Grobban to set up his teammate, and that goal was enough for Forest to claim all 3 points in the end. So Forest this season, there seems to be something about them. They're another side similar to Bristol City who are unbeaten since the first day of the season, so another one to watch out for in the next few weeks. Swansea still in the top 2, but they just weren't, it just wasn't their day this time. Into Sunday's games, it was then Gary Monk who won the battle of the new managers as Sheff Wednesday took down Huddersfield by 2-0. They took the lead after just 10 minutes in this one. Some brilliant work from Kadeem Harris. Down the left hand side to beat his man, he clipped the ball back into the box where Stephen Fletcher was waiting to make it 1-0 to Sheff Wednesday. I feel like that could be a bit of a trademark goal for Wednesday this season. Harris, who's been a breath of fresh air since coming into the club. When you've got a winger of his quality and then a striker like Stephen Fletcher in the middle to finish those chances, I think that Sheff Wednesday could get quite a bit of joy from those areas. And Wednesday were just efficient when they went forward, really. They picked their chances when they did go forward. They made it 2-0 in the second half. Once again, Kadeem Harris with some nice work, pulled the ball back to Barry Bannon. First time with a brilliant ball into the box, and then Sam Willen of all people getting on the score sheet to make it 2-0 to Wednesday. I've not mentioned his name on the Championship roundup in quite a while now, but he took his goal well. Westwood had to make a couple of saves for Wednesday in this one, but Huddersfield, there still seems to be something missing. I think that Cowley now realises the challenge he's got on his hands. They, along with Stoke, are the only clubs yet to win a match so far this season in the Championship. And then to round things off, we saw Leeds beating Barnsley by 2-0, a result which does see Leeds going to the top of the Championship for the end of the weekend. Now, this one actually being quite a good game. You see by the statistics from this one, both sides having a lot of chances, and it did look to be quite an open game. Leeds eventually going on to win it. Goals from Eddie Nketiah in the 84th minute after turning in a Calvin Phillips free kick, and then Click from the spot in the 89th minute to seal all 3 points for Leeds. But Barnsley had their fair share of chances before Leeds eventually went on to get the winner. Wilkes, Thomas and Woodrow all had good chances, but Kiko Casilla was on hand to save them. I've been, fairly critical of Casilla over the past, but I've got to say, and you got to give him the plaudits for this one. He was absolutely excellent in keeping Barnsley at bay. FA. Leeds also had their fair share of chances though from open play. We saw Bamford, Hernandez and Harrison all going close. But in the end it was Nketiah who got the decisive goal to give Leeds the 1-goal lead in the 84th minute. His goals to game ratio, by the way, is absolutely outstanding at this point in time. When we eventually do see him starting more matches in the Championship, then I'm really excited to see how many goals he can actually go on and get this season, because so far he's mostly been utilised as an impact sub, but he's been doing that role excellently so far. But like I said, the win does take Leeds to the top of the Championship. Barnsley without a win since the opening day, but it wasn't necessarily a bad performance from them. They just need to be a bit more clinical going forward. But there were all the matches that did take place this weekend. In terms of my goal of the weekend, there were quite a few contenders for this one. I'm interested to see what you guys vote for on the poll. For me personally, I'm a bit of a sucker for a team goal. So for my goal of the weekend, I'm going to give it to Wigan Athletic's Joe Geldhart for his equaliser against Hull City. Then for my result of the weekend, I'm going to give it to Nottingham Forest for that 1-0 away victory at informed Swansea. But guys, there you have it. That will now wrap it up for this episode of the Championship Roundup. So make sure to get all your thoughts in the comments down below as to what you made of your team this weekend. Make sure you do go on to leave a like if you went on to enjoy the video, and subscribe for some regular Championship content. But apart from that, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.